Welcome back here to Boreo's 8891 McDonald's Parkway in Cicero, New York. Right out here on the water, blue skies, perfect view. This is kind of the Floridian view of New York, I would like to say.
I like that. Floridian, Bahamian.
Yeah.
Whatever the word is, excuse me.
This is for the people that are, when they come back from vacation and they still want that feel, or when you're up here in Syracuse and you want to feel like you're on vacation. Get the food out here, fresh seafood, phenomenal Sunday brunch every single day, something to have. And actually, we spoke about my wedding last time. For my bachelor day, we started off the day by getting fed here at Boreo's. All my guys out here at Boreo's.
That's an awesome plug right there. But it was good, too. I know that.
It was very good. Chicken quesadilla. That's my personal with the sweet potato chips.
I just see some of that.
Yeah, they actually taste like French toast.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a little bit of sugar on there. You have them with some syrup. Very good. So.
I might try that.
Well, we're out here at Boreo's. We're talking about the food. I'm getting hungry, so hopefully you guys are too. You can come out to 8891 McDonald's Parkway in Cicero. But I don't have the luxury of being able to eat because we're here on television right now. so we wanted to continue here talking about coaching, and we're talking about right fits, and every assistant coach has that want and desire to become a head coach someday. One of the guys that's always in the news is a guy that stands right beside you when you're out there for Syracuse, and that's Mike Hopkins, who has been the perennial contender of every vacant job that's out there. So how do you handle that as a coaching staff when as soon as you're out of the NCAA tournament, that next day, Mike Hopkins' name pops up?
I think, as someone that you work with, a coworker and a friend, and former teammate, you always want the best for them, and whatever that situation may be. And I think in our profession, you understand that, it's a turnover. It's a turnover profession, and people will move on to get opportunities. Sometimes, you get let go. So we kind of understand that. So, when you hear his name up for jobs, most of the time we've had a successful season, and that's a good thing. And I think you just kind of wait. You don't get too excited. You just wait and just kind of see how things play out. Really.
How real, when you hear all of the reports that come out, because I've talked to Mike before about what he wants and being at Syracuse and all that. How realistic are the reports when you hear 15 teams contacted Mike Hopkins?
Well, I mean, I think like anything, when colleges are looking for replacements, when you look at the top, and normally what I mean by that, the top is the top programs in the country, year in and year out consistency, and you start to look at their staff and you identify people, from that staff, because to sustain success at any level, you got to have a good team and good people around you, and you figure that that's what they bring.
Yeah.
So, and essentially, you look at the top, and Syracuse, is one of those programs that's always at the top, like a Duke or a Kentucky, and those guys, all those guys that you've seen in the last 2 or 3 years have now moved on to other jobs. So, it's one of those things that, you got to deal with. You deal with it, and I think, again, for those guys, anybody that's getting mentioned and for a possibility for a coaching job is an accomplishment, just to get your name to be considered that way. And I think that's everyone's job anyway as an assistant coach. That's everybody's want, is to be a head coach.
What Mike had said to me after the Final Four loss to Michigan was, just because I hear teams out, just because I go on an interview, never meant I was going to leave. And he went on to tell me, I've always wanted to be a head coach is my dream, but my dream job is Syracuse. How real are the statements that I just told you he said to me after that loss? How real do you feel they are in today's age? Do you really feel like he still has that deep connection to Syracuse?
Absolutely. I mean, he spent half of his life here. He came here as an 18-year-old, and he still, he went away for a year or two, and he's been here. So, he is Syracuse, essentially. He's like Coach. He's been here, for most of his life. He's been to college. Once he came to college, he's never really left. So that is 100% real.
When all of this comes up, and he says, I'm going to stay at Syracuse. Does the whole staff kind of breathe a sigh of relief? I mean, how do you handle that? Because it's not only a staff of guys from wherever. I mean, Jerry's someone who was coached by Mike. Mike is someone who had Boeheim around. You're someone who obviously had Boeheim and knew of these guys and played with different guys. And it's an entire crew of alum, which is unheard of when you look at college basketball at the highest level. So when you are such a tight-knit group that are all connected in a lot of various ways, how do you handle that situation when it's not only one of the coaches, but this is somebody who you obviously respect and have a closeness to for the organization?
It's a friend. It's a dear friend. A family, someone that you go to war with, you work with, you spend a lot of time with. So I think, when it's all said and done and you say he's coming back to Syracuse, you're happy to have your friend back. And Hop is the guy that, he's a big part of, what we do. He's an integral part of it. And, but first and foremost, he's a great guy. And he's a great friend. And he's a great mentor. He's everything all rolled in one. So I think, you got to put that in perspective when you say that he's staying. From my standpoint, it's like a brother staying.
Is there any worry at this point that you can't say he's staying?
I just don't know. I couldn't answer that. Depending on what the opportunity is, you just never know. And I've said this already earlier. At the end of the day, assistant coaches all strive to be head coaches, and sometimes, you get a feeling. It's a feel, and if something comes up that he thinks that he can be there for a long time and be successful, I think that's a possibility.
If you had to put your money on it, which I'm asked to do plenty of times, of Mike Hopkins really being, it's like waiting for the sequel to a movie that you love the original. So let's say the original movie is Boeheim, and the sequel to this Godfather Part 2, so to speak, is Mike Hopkins. How likely is it that we'll ever see the sequel to the movie? Do you really honestly feel that? He's been here for so long. Do you think we're going to see the Godfather Part 2, or is there that chance that that's the end of it?
I couldn't answer that. I think that's the question that everybody wants to know. I really don't know. Like I said, there's a lot of different things, factors that can happen. But, for me, I'm just enjoying everything now because, it's going to affect me both ways.
Yeah.
So, I'm just, I can't think about those things because, it's just not, I think it'll take away from what needs to be done now. We have a lot of work to do for right now, and so you can't really, there's no answer to that. There's really no answer to that.
If he left at some point, how does it affect you at Syracuse?
Well, I think, if he left, depending on the coaching staff, depending on things, you just never know sometimes, But, I think it affects me as far as, like I said, my brother, a mentor, leaving, would be a big void as far as the program to fill, big shoes to fill for Mike Hopkins, if that happened. But, I think it affects us that way, but, eventually you continually, you got to move forward. That's life, and you got to be able to adjust and adapt and kind of keep moving forward.
When you look at everything that you've been able to accomplish as a group, we talked about being a good recruiter and being a good coach and how they're different. How good of a recruiter do you believe Mike has been working alongside of him? Because we will talk later on about how good of a recruiter you are, because you never talk about it, but you are. How good of a recruiter has Mike been in your mind, and can he make that step to being a head coach?
Well, there's no doubt in my mind he can make the step to be a head coach. As far as recruiting, I think the one thing about Mike Hopkins that people don't talk about is, yeah, he's a great recruiter, but he's an unbelievable developer. And I think that's something that goes not talked about, and that's what he does. I mean, if you look at some of the guys, if you really follow it, you know, the guys that he's brought in, they've all excelled and gotten better under his tutelage. Every last one of them. And yes, he can recruit, but he's more of a developer. I think he is an unbelievable developer of talent, and that is what makes him so good, because he gets kids to another level.
When you look at what he's done in the here and now, bringing kids up to another level, there's going to be some players that we're going to talk about coming up, but I want to finish this part of our live show here at Boreo's 8891 McDonald's Parkway in Cicero, right out here on the water. How did he affect you up to this point as a recruiter? And then secondly, as a coach, how has Mike affected you in a positive way in those two respects?
Well, I think the one thing about Mike Hopkins that he set for me the standard of, you know, what Syracuse basketball is about, and the whole thing of student athletes, and not just going after talent, but the whole thing, character, talent, being able to mold that talent, and the work that it takes to develop that talent, and understanding, you know, developing relationships with these guys on a one-on-one basis, and really kind of getting more into it, more than a basketball player, but a person itself, which is, you know, helped me tutor these kids better and get them to a different level and understand them better and being able to coach them better. And I think that's the one thing I learned the most with Mike Hopkins, that, you know, he really, you know, spending time with these kids and really getting a chance to know them on and off the court. You know, and I think really off the court has really made the biggest difference in effectiveness as us as a coaching staff being able to get the kids and get to that next level.
That coming from Adrian Autry, Syracuse Orange men's basketball assistant coach, alum, and here with me, Dan Statora for Dan Statora Broadcast Media on wakeupcalldt.com, and you're also watching on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, where sports meets life. I asked him to put his money down. He didn't put it down all the way, kind of hovered it on the blackjack table, and we'll be back to talk about plenty more coming up here. Adrian Autry, Dan Statora, we'll talk to you soon, right from Boreo's.